Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are tuning in. This is the Brahma Viharas meditation program, and we are covering the Brahma Vihara, or the four immeasurable quality of joy. And today we're going to do a guided meditation on cultivating joy for groups. And so we're going to work with a particular group of people that of our own design, of three people, one representing a person we like or we love, a stranger or a person of neutrality, and a perceived enemy. Now these can be people that we've used in these practices before. If you've joined me for any of these other practices, you know that we've been using loved ones, strangers, and perceived enemies. So it's fine to use the same people over and over again. That's no worries. Or you can change. That's up to you. So the practices of joy, not to be underestimated. Now they can work very superficially as kind of aphorisms, and you just kind of bring them up, and that can bring a certain type of joy, a certain type of relief, if you will. But if you really bring the phrase, and we're doing this by offering these phrases into our own heart and then to the hearts of others, and if you really sit with those phrases and really visualize what those phrases mean in your life and other people's lives, you do that consistently, time and time again, eventually you run into the patterns which keep us from experiencing a type of joy that's not dependent on external circumstances. Now that can be quite an experience because oftentimes we're not ready to let those voices go. And so when we come into contact, when we become intimate with the voices that are restricting our experiences of joy, that can bring up some fear, some self-doubt, and so forth like that. So that voice is going to be a voice of self-criticism or doubt, or jealousy or envy. Those are four typical voices that run. They're really patterns that run in our subconscious that separate us from this inherent experience of joy. So it's a very delicate practice there. Now, once we touch that joy that's not dependent on other things, it's just this joy of being. That's not a permanent fixed state. And like all other experiences, it arises and passes. But it leaves an impression. So once we touch to that experience of joy, we recognize that there's another way. And we become, again, intimate with that voice or those patterns that separate us from that. So when we're in our life and we're experiencing kind of a mundane experience and there's not much joy, the mind is, oh, I wish this was this way or that way, or I wish I was doing something else. We recognize those voices, or I can't do this quite right, or I need to be better at this, or I need to do this or be better at that. Those voices are patterns that are keeping us from our experience of inherent joy of the present moment. So we learn what that feels like when those patterns start running. We learn what that feels like. We can say, oh, that's just that old pattern. That's just that old thought form. I don't need to do that. I can come back and enjoy this moment exactly as it presents itself in my awareness. Now, that, might not be possible in some circumstances. We might be living in a war-torn country, for example. Or we might be, beyond hunger, in a state of starvation. these practices aren't really, well, a life that is being lived in that way isn't conducive to this type of practice. So, and I quoted Eckhart Tolle a few episodes ago, but to quote him again, these practices are designed to allow us to experience enjoyment, enthusiasm, and then the practices of compassion, acceptance. So if you're in a situation and there's not acceptance or enjoyment or enthusiasm, there's a pattern running that keeps us away from that. Now, if you recognize that, but you just can't shift that pattern, if you're in a position where bodily harm is being done to you, for example, then you need to remove yourself from that situation. So anytime we're in a situation where we can't experience enjoyment, enthusiasm, or at least acceptance, then we need to make a motion to remove ourselves from the situation, or to recognize that this too will pass. And then we can hopefully rest in that and allow whatever is causing that disturbance to pass through our awareness like that. Now, I mentioned compassion. These practices and all of the Brahma Vihara practices require a healthy dose of self-compassion. Because often we'll move into a practice like this and we'll do it for 2 to 3 days and we'll think, oh, I don't know what he's talking about. I'm not experiencing any more joy, and things like that. Or I don't feel any more loving kindness. These practices take time. And you might indeed embrace one of these practices and spend 2 to 3 weeks with it, as I recommend one does, and you still aren't feeling much. That's fine. That's just the seeds are being planted for future experiences. And so we can't push ourselves to be more joyful in this way, or to be more compassionate, or to be more loving kind, or to have more equanimity. Because when we're pushing ourselves to do that, we're then creating a model of what that looks like and trying to fit our behavior or to fit our emotional state into that model. So we just do the practices and we show up to the practice and accept the results. And eventually, with patience, with compassion, and with, the allotted amount of time put forth in a practice like this, we actually do start to feel more joyful, more compassionate, filled with more loving kindness for people, more equanimous towards people and situations. Okay, so I think that's all I want to say today. This is the second to last episode on the Brahma Viharas. I'll be back tomorrow guiding one more, and then I'm doing a talk, probably on Monday, but we'll see. But sometime early next week, I'll do a talk on the Brahma Viharas as a way to close. And then we're moving into a new and exciting chapter. I'll be doing episodes on mindfulness practice, and I'll be doing interviews with artists who have healthy contemplative practice. And if you are an artist yourself, would like to be featured on this show, send me a message, and we can have a chat live and bring the importance of contemplative practices to the creative process into the limelight. Okay. So I'll guide us into silence. And in that silent space, we'll offer these very precious phrases of joy to our own heart. And we'll just move through that stage rather briskly, visualizing or imagining what our life would look or feel like if these phrases were completely reflective of our life circumstance. And then we'll offer the phrases to groups of people a loved one, a person we don't know, and a perceived enemy. So hopefully you can have that group of people in mind. Now sometimes it's difficult to visualize a whole group of people, and you want to include yourself in there too. So you'd actually be seeing yourself with these three other people. Some people like to visualize this group of four around a campfire, or around a dining table or a card table, a casual setting. And then we offer the phrases up to all four at the same time. And don't forget yourself. Oftentimes people want to offer the phrases and they leave themselves out. They just give it to those three people. That's okay too, but you want to include yourself as well. It's a more profound practice if you equally bring yourself, the phrases of joy, and the other three people as well. Now, the tendency is to kind of leave out the perceived enemy and focus on the loved one and a little bit on the stranger. You'll probably notice your awareness gravitating in that direction. So keep bringing it back so that you feel all four people, yourself, the perceived enemy, the neutral person, and the loved one equally, receiving benefits from your efforts in this practice. Okay. So allowing the body, mind, and heart to rest. Just coming into this present moment experience. Noticing the breath as it enters and leaves the nose. Noticing the breath as it touches the back of the throat. And perhaps noticing the temperature changing from cooler to warmer on the inhalation and exhalation at the nose and the back of the throat. Noticing the rib cage expanding and contracting with each breath. The rising and falling of the abdomen as you inhale and exhale. Noticing the back moving out as you breathe in as you breathe out. The shoulders rising and falling with each breath. You might also notice the body straightening up slightly on the in-breath and leaning forward slightly on the out-breath. And while resting there with the experience of breathing, noticing the sensations of feet against the mat or the floor, sensations of clothing against the legs, the weight of the body against the cushion or chair, mat or floor. There might be sensations of clothing against the back. Noticing the hands resting against the body or touching each other. The arms resting against the body. You might also notice sensations of clothing against the shoulders. There might be sensations arising from the back of the neck and the sides of the neck. Sensations arising from the back of the head and the ears, Noticing any sensation rising throughout the face, including the lips and the nose, the eyes and the forehead. Noticing any sensations arising from the top of the head. And while resting there with the breath and body, perhaps noticing the sounds of the present moment. Not focusing on any one particular sound, but noticing the entire field of sounds. Hearing all of the sounds all at the same time. The soundtrack of the present moment. And while listening to the sounds, you might also notice a backdrop of silent space, which seems to surround the present moment. And so we'll rest right there, maintaining open, spacious awareness on the sensations of the breath, from the nose to the abdomen, the nose, sensations arising throughout the body, from the top of the head to the bottoms of the feet, the silence and sound of this present moment experience. And just rest. And now, while resting in this present moment experience, sensations of breath and body, silence and sound, we'll begin offering these very precious phrases of joy to our own heart. Visualizing or imagining what our life would look or feel like if each phrase was completely reflective of our life circumstance. May I experience May I enjoy the activities of life itself. May I enjoy things just as they are. May I experience the world taking joy in all that I do. May I know what to do, whatever arises. And breathing in and breathing out, allowing a visualization to arise in the mind's eye. Visualizing a group of 3 people in front of you. The first person being a loved one. The second person being somebody we don't know, a neutral person, could be a stranger. The third person, a perceived enemy, somebody we don't like very much. And including yourself in this circle, so making a circle of 4, perhaps seated around a dining table or a card table, seated around a campfire, in a casual, relaxed setting. And we'll begin offering these very precious phrases of joy to the hearts of the 4 of us, as if we were offering ourselves the most precious, rare gift. With each phrase, we'll visualize or imagine what all 4 of our lives would look and feel like if these phrases were completely reflective of our life circumstance. May we enjoy the activities of life itself. May we enjoy things just as they are. May we experience the world taking joy in all that we do. May we know what to do, whatever arises. May we enjoy the activities of life itself. May we enjoy things just as they are. May we experience the world taking joy in all that we do. May we know what to do, whatever arises. breathing in and breathing out, allowing any visualizations left in the mind's eye to dissolve. You can let those fade back into the open, spacious awareness from which they came. And if you contacted any of the inner critic or the voice of envy or jealousy, let all of that go as well. Just coming into this present moment experience, noticing the sounds and the silence, listening to the entire soundtrack of the present moment as it unfolds. And while resting there with the sound and silence, bringing attention to the sensations of feet against the mat or the floor, sensations of clothing against the legs, the weight of the body against the cushion or chair, mat or floor. There might be sensations of clothing against the back, you might notice the hands resting against the body or touching each other, the arms resting against the body, sensations of clothing against the shoulders, there might be sensations arising from the back of the neck, the sides of the neck, sensations arising from the ears, the cheeks of the face, the lips and the nose, the eyes and the forehead. Noticing any sensations arising from the top of the head. And while resting there with the sound and silence and the sensations of the body, bringing attention to the breath as it enters and leaves the nose. The breath as it touches the back of the throat. Noticing the rib cage expanding and contracting with each breath. The rising and falling of the abdomen as you inhale and exhale. You might notice the back moving out as you breathe in as you breathe out. The shoulders rising and falling with each breath. And so we'll rest right there for a few moments, maintaining open, spacious awareness on the silence and sounds, body and breath, and just rest. Well, thank you for joining me today for Brahma Viharas Joy for Groups. I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope this practice allows you, the practitioners, to enjoy more of your life. And that's really the idea here, is to drop away the habits, the patterns, the conditioning which keep us from enjoying life as it unfolds, keep us from experiencing the fullness of life in the present moment. So I think that's all I want to say today. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the closing meditation. What a journey. And if you've been joining me regularly, thank you for accompanying me on this exquisite journey through the four immeasurable minds: loving kindness, compassion, equanimity, and joy. It's really been a pleasure to guide these meditations and to do these talks. I myself have gotten great benefit from it, and I hope you all have too. So tomorrow's the closing meditation. I'll be guiding a meditation on joy for the entire world. There's a song, right? I'll have it stuck in my head now all day, and I'll spare you singing. Joy to the world. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing tomorrow, is sending joy to the world. Beautiful practice. And then early next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, not quite sure yet when, I'll be doing a talk wrapping up the Brahma Viharas. And that's it. Stay safe, stay clean, stay healthy, and I will see you all tomorrow. More singing, please. Yeah. Karaoke. That'll be my next series, perhaps. The greatest hits. Okay. Be well.